Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. I've been collecting toys for over 35 years, and ever since Hasbro got its new CEO, Chris Cox, in place, basically the whole hobby of toy collecting has gone into a serious state of decline due to the greed from Hasbro and many other toy companies. Now, Hasbro has been leading the way with a lot of this greed because it's no longer about going out here and creating action figures that bring joy to children and the growing collector market. No, it's all about maximizing profits, and as they look to just maximize profits, they have no consideration for the people who go out here and collect these toys. Now, back in the days of Toy Biz, I remember when guys like Jesse Falcon had a consideration for the customer, and because they basically cared and connected with customers at Comic-Cons like New York Comic-Con, and would sit there and talk to many customers like my brother and myself, there was a relationship formed between the toy companies like Toy Biz and the customer. And oftentimes the customer felt like they had a connection where they were going to be heard by the company. And what happened at Toy Biz and even Mattel with Scott Knightlick in charge was very special, and it led to an interdependent relationship where the customer would say what they wanted and the company would go out of its way to put that product on the shelves of stores like Toys R Us when they were still around, and even online retail, and customers were basically getting product and getting the product that they wanted very quickly. But sadly what happened is that Toy Biz wound up folding around 2008, I believe, or 2009, and Mattel basically went into a state of decline as related to its DC Universe Classics line, and the chemistry that led to the magic of the relationship between the customer and the toy companies basically evaporated. And as that synergy wound up evaporating, we basically wound up with one company, Hasbro, basically being in charge of making action figures. And as Hasbro has been as its management changed from its previous CEO, who sadly died of cancer, to Chris Cox, basically, there has been no effort to try to form a relationship with the collecting customer or the average everyday kid on the block. And that's basically taken the heart and soul out of the Marvel Legends line, the Star Wars Black line, and even the G.I. Joe Classified line. I mean, these were three lines that many toy collectors like myself love to go out here and pick up. And basically what's happening these days is that the product isn't as special, and it's not special like it was during the days when these toy companies were actively at Comic-Cons talking to the collectors and even talking to the kids at shows like Toy Fair, again, finding out what the customer really wanted. And what's been happening is that we've gotten, because there's no relationship between the customer and the collector, what's happening is that a lot of the product isn't really selling like it used to. And one of the reasons why the product isn't selling mainly, again, is the lack of a relationship between the customer and the collector. No, Hasbro just sees it as, oh, we just go out here and make product and continue to increase the price because they don't see us as customers anymore. They just see us as fanboys who they believe they can get on the hook to buy more figures. I mean, I see so many unethical tactics that are used these days like going out here and looking to upsell two figures instead of one, where that, like in the case of a recent character that people wanted for years and named Arita, they released this blue skin version in the hopes of possibly selling you the flesh tone version in the green suit everybody wanted, getting you to buy two figures instead of just going out here and buying the one you really, most collectors really wanted to go with their new warriors. And I also see that when it comes to these companies, again, no real regard for the average collector and their everyday bills. I mean, when Jesse Falcon was in charge of Toy Biz, again, we would get 3 waves of Marvel Legends. We would get, and over with Scott Knightlick, we would get 3 waves of DC Universe Classics, but these figures would be paced out because they would consider that, okay, collectors have other bills, and this is their, again, disposable income that they have as related to their hobbies and their interests, and they're taking the time to spend some of their money on these figures. And these figures would cost anywhere from $8.99 to about maybe $14.99, so you wouldn't really feel it too bad if you picked up a wave of figures. And with these waves of figures only coming out every maybe 6 months, you basically didn't feel it because, okay, you got a wave of DC Universe Classics that maybe came out in March, and then April you got a wave of Marvel Legends that came out, so you really didn't really feel it as related to buying 6 figures, and you got to build a figure to go along with each of those, or collecting Connect figure as related to each of those, so you didn't really feel the hit on your wallet too bad. But Chris Cox really doesn't think about the collector and the other bills we have, and what he's been doing for the last 2 years has really done damage not only to the collector market, but also done to the toy market as well. He goes out here and he releases floods of figures. I mean, he'll release, again, a wave of Marvel Legends, a wave of Star Wars Black, a wave of G.I. Joe Classified, all at once, and also lines like Spider-Man and Gamerverse. And again, you'll have like 40 to 50 figures coming out in one quarter, and most collectors basically just can't pick up all these figures all at once because there's no way to pace this out so that we can afford to buy all these figures. And what's been happening at retail for many companies like Target and Walmart and many other retailers like Big Bad Toy Store is that they're stuck with gluts of figures. They're stuck with gluts of figures, and what happens to these figures, especially the MCU figures that come from the movies, is that instead of these figures being sold to collectors, is that they wind up on a quick trip to Ollie's where they basically are discounted down to nothing. And this creates a further glut of figures that basically wind up languishing in retail. And as these figures languish in retail, again, it makes it where many people don't have that incentive to go out here and pick up figures, because most people nowadays, it's not like the days of 2008 when I was out here and I went to New York Comic Con. Again, because there was an interdependent relationship, people would hear about new figures, they would order the figures or see the figures in stores, and again, the figures would clear themselves out at full price. I mean, figures used to move very quickly, but these days, figures aren't moving. No, they're not moving at all. And what's happening is that you've got stores like Amazon and stores like Big Bad Toy Store stuck with gluts of figures from, I'd say, about 7 years ago. I mean, you can go back and get figures as far back as maybe 2018, 2019, still at regular retail price, whereas in the old days, those figures would have just been sold out, and once they sold out, basically they would have gone on the secondary market, and as they went on the secondary market, those people who wanted those figures would go out here and pick those figures up, and maybe they'd have to pay a little extra for those figures, but it wouldn't be like you got all these figures still at retail, still languishing there, and again, being sold at discount prices at places like Ollie's. I mean, Ollie's, Walmart, again, these stores are basically flooded with merchandise, and nothing's really moving as related to Marvel or Star Wars. And even these days, G.I. Joe Classified, I mean, I remember when Classified was really a hot line, but these days, again, there's been gluts of figures that have wound up at Ollie's, all because Chris Cox and his flood strategy basically flood the stores with more product than customers can buy, and because he doesn't understand how to pace out a product, where figures are coming out on a schedule, again, that relates to people's ability to pay. Because I've heard from a lot of, again, customers who are collectors, again, they're going out here, and again, you put in a pre-order, it says one date. This is another thing that aggravates me. You say it's coming out in November, and then in September it's being shipped to you. That's really annoying. Again, if a person goes out here and puts in a pre-order, and you say September, you should be shipping that in September, because that's when that person is going to have the money to be able to cover that cost. Again, don't spring costs on people. It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating for us collectors when you go out here and, again, do these bait and switches on the dates for these products. Yeah, I know product comes in the warehouse, but there's a date that if you say that the date is this date, I mean, that was one of the things I liked about Mattel when they had MattyCollector.com. Again, when they had said, okay, this Plastic Man is coming out. Plastic Man was supposed to come out in August. He was out in August. He was shipped in August. And again, people knew they could trust Mattel. They knew they could trust Mattel up until DC and Warner Brothers pulled the rug out from everyone with the New 52 and alienated the entire customer base. There was a functioning relationship with, again, Mattel, and as related to DC Universe Classics, and product was moving very frequently. Now, when it comes down to Hasbro, again, they just don't see the customer the right way. Again, all they think about is going to go out here and make profits. Again, profits over people, where they give us garbage figures in 2-packs like this Crossbones. I mean, we already have, again, several Crossbones figures out here already. One, an exclusive Thunderbolt set, one from the Ares wave, one from the Black Widow wave, and you give me another useless Crossbones that doesn't even look like anything in the comics. I mean, I wanted the Madame Mask character, and you could have just gave me an Iron Man who has slim boots and gauntlets for the neoclassic armor. That would have been something that you could have done with a little retooling. No, you give me a brand new figure on a body, again, that I don't really need or even want, and then charge me $49.99. And again, I find this to be disrespectful. Again, give the customer what we want. Give us, again, things like, again, neoclassic Iron Man with the slim boots and gauntlets. That would have been something I would have appreciated, getting a 2-pack of figures with 2 figures I really wanted. And again, the same thing was done with an Amazon exclusive Mandarin, where they gave us, again, an uninspired Mandarin that basically was a guy in a suit, Buck, and again, a head and some hands. And again, an Iron Man that was, again, extremis multi-jointed, but I don't need that figure. Again, consider the customer and not think about maximizing profits or flooding us with product. Again, I mean, when I look at Hasbro, they don't care about the customer. It's just money, money, money. Let's see what we can fleece. Let's see what we can get out of these customers. Let's see what cash we can get. And again, like WWE at TKO Holdings, it's all about profits and not people. And that's what's making collecting action figures not be special like it used to be. I mean, collecting action figures used to be something special. It used to be something fun. And the fun has been sucked out of this because of Hasbro and its unethical approaches to business, such as, again, going out here and looking to get sell two figures for the price of one, where, again, passively, yeah, you gave me a Namorita, but you didn't give me the Namorita I need for my new Warriors team set up in the green bikini and the white with the blonde hair. That's what people wanted. Or give me figures like Marina. Again, team builders that basically gave people incentive to go out here and buy these figures. No, what we get are floods of figures that are either done very poorly, like in the case of Luke Cage, where he didn't even have a boot swivel. That's another thing that peeved me. I mean, I would have bought that Luke Cage figure, but now he's on Ollie's on clearance because of people like Chris Cox who think, hey, I won't put a boot swivel on the Luke Cage buck. I won't put a boot swivel on this figure. And then they go out here and again have it where the shirt doesn't really match the body. Again, this alienated customers like myself who saw this wave for the mindless one and again passed on a lot of the figures outside of Clea and Blade. And I think there was one more that I bought. I mean, you went from a guy who would have bought a whole wave of figures to a guy who only bought 3, all because you wanted to think you could, again, sell one Luke Cage, then come back and then create another Luke Cage with a possibly snarling face and possibly, again, the correct articulation. Again, you want to go out here and try to sell upsell more than one figure, and again, that's unethical in and of itself. And this combined with the flooding of stores with figures, I mean, this is why Hasbro is struggling right now, and why more merchandise is winding up at Ollie's rather than being sold at full price the way it used to after Comic-Con. I mean, after Comic-Con, basically, this stuff would basically sell itself. I mean, I remember going to places like Kmart when they were here in New York, or going over to a Target, and again, the figures themselves would basically sell themselves. But what's happening now is that many collectors, because of the flooding of product in areas, basically are saying, hey, I'll just wait for Ollie's. I mean, I just saw an Iron King, or 3 Stacks to the Max video where he was in the Walmart. And again, stuff like the Omega Red versus War Machine exclusive is just sitting there, again, warming the shelf, along with the G.I. Joe Firefighter and many other figures. That's what he showed in one of his videos. And the world-class BSers, they have shown us stuff just languishing at Ollie's. And again, it's all due to Chris Cox basically flooding the market with too much product that the customer can't buy because it's not paced out in a way that basically considers a collector's bills, because I'm going to pay my electric bill, I'm going to pay my internet bill, I'm going to pay my phone bill and my rent before I even go out here and buy figures. I ain't going to sit here and again have waves of figures and again just overwhelming me. And that's another thing that's frustrating is, again, these figures overwhelm you at a point where you just go, okay, it's just too many coming out at one time. I mean, 35, 40 figures coming out at one time, it's just too many. And that's why a lot of product is languishing in stores. I mean, I can go to Walmart right now, and a lot of even exclusive figures like the Prowler are still up for sale. That wasn't the way it was in 2021 when I ordered the Lizard. I mean, the Walmart exclusive Lizard basically sold out, and I had to buy 2 because I wanted to save on shipping, and I was able to, again, flip one of those figures because it was just, I don't need 2 figures, but I buy it because I want to save on shipping. But the whole thing is that Lizard sold, but other exclusives are not going anywhere, just like what 3 Stacks to the Max put in his video. I mean, Omega Red versus War Machine was supposed to be exclusive, but at $59.99, that thing is just sitting there right now, warming the shelf, the way the Prowler, who again was $25, was warming the shelf. And again, Chris Cox don't really know what he's doing because we're not seeing product move among collectors. No, it's languishing on store shelves until it hit Ollie's, and it's also hurting the secondary market because many of us as collectors, again, we have older figures on the secondary market, And Hasbro also has messed up there. It's also messed up there because it's reissuing so many figures. I mean, part of the fun of collecting is the chase. And again, the chase is taken away because people basically want to reissue figures. And again, the reissues, again, were warming the shelf, like the Sandman right now. He's warming the shelf right now and possibly will be on his way to Ollie's because many in the guy running Hasbro doesn't know how the business runs. And because he doesn't understand how the business runs, he's running collectors out of the business and running us away because, again, there's only so many figures we can buy in a calendar year. There's only much space we have for figures in a calendar year. And again, if there's no secondary market to go out here and unload those figures, again, we're stuck with a lot of figures that basically we don't want taking up space, and that also keeps us from going out here to buy new figures. And from the sad state of eBay these days, I'm seeing, again, just so many Dusties over on eBay, so many Dusties looking for, again, stuff real cheap, just like they get at Ollie's. And again, that wasn't the case in the golden age of about 2008 to about 2020 or so. I mean, during those days, again, collectors would go out here and again be willing to pay what price they were supposed to pay. I mean, if we knew a figure was old, we knew, okay, if this is in good condition, we're going to have to pay a little more, and we're not really able to do that anymore. So a lot of people like myself, we have figures sitting up in our rooms and basically in bins because we can't move them and we can't bring new stuff in because the old stuff is still there because the secondary market can't really get any traction. Again, this is the damage that Chris Cox has done over at Hasbro to the entire collector base. I mean, he just doesn't understand how to pace product out so it can continue to move and continue to move in a way that profits both the collector and basically keeps new customers coming in. Again, the high prices at the beginning keep new collectors from coming in, and the flood of product over at Ollie's keeps new collectors from having incentive to go out here and buy product, because why should I buy a product at full price when I can see it's going to head over to a place like Ollie's for half that price or even less? I mean, why should a collector like myself sit there and wait for a wave of figures to come out and look to pre-order that wave again when there's no real consideration for us? I mean, there's no real consideration for us at the beginning, and that gives us no reason to pre-order a wave because we're not going to, again, get that wave on the date we were expected to get it, or get this wave, again, when we have the money for it. I mean, this whole thing is a complete mess. And again, people these days are more now looking at Ollie's as the reason to, again, go pick up whatever they want. And that's not what Hasbro really should be wanting. I mean, you go out here and you do these cash grabs that make money on the front end, but they wind up destroying the whole hobby on the back end. I mean, when I look at things like the Maximum line, where people get a cash grab Spider-Man that really wasn't that great, or that garbage Maximum Hulk, which I knew was going to be junk with the rubber chest. I mean, when I look at this hobby, it's no longer fun. And again, I've been in this hobby since about 1989. And again, I remember, again, those golden days of hunting, or those golden days of when we had that interdependent relationship. And what I see today is an attempt to make a corporate codependent relationship, looking to fleece the comic fan, looking to fleece the collector, and it's all about them making money and not about the relationship between the people. And that's what's made toy collecting not as special as it used to be. Now, if you want to pick up some of my stories on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find my books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to help me continue to stay on the air and talk about toys or other collectibles, because I'm a big-time comic fan and sci-fi fan, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, a man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this all-new Spinsterella story. Pre-order your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed all-new Esteemed series adventure. Pick up your copy of Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.